Cole, we're back.
We are. Second stream of the night, baby.
Woo!
Let's crank
Did you
these
know?
things out.
Some
Oh,
people
we forgot
say-
Audacity, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
So, 3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
Go. For the audio pod. Did you know we have an audio podcast?
I didn't. Cole, we're back.
We're back.
I think I say that at the start of every one of these episodes because it always feels like we're back because it's been a while.
Yeah.
Although probably less of a while than some of our other Fast Peak episodes. We did one pre-Berlin, Cole, and
How about
I don't
we
know
do
about
one
you.
post-Berlin?
Yeah. Here we are. Lucky. Imagine finding us here. I don't know about you, Cole, but ich bin ein Berliner. And
same here. I actually ate one today.
There you go. That's convenient. Here's the idea, Cole. This show is called Fast Peak Last Week. We are going to start the show off with some fast peaks powered by Ripit Energy Fuel, which if you want to fast peak something, consider Ripit to help you peak faster, is what I'd say. That's
Nice
their official campaign. Thank you. We're going to start off with some fast peaks. We're going to move then to a slow peak, which is like a fast peak, but slower. And we spend more time doing it. We're going to move into everyone's favorite segment of the show, the Incendiary community take. And that's a hot take. That's a hot take for those of you who have not studied for the GRE yet. And and then we'll be done. This is a fast show. It's meant to be fast. That's why I'm talking fast. And let's get right to it because we've got a lot to cover. Big time for the team. The season continues, unlike some of these other teams who play this game. Season continues. There's more work to be done. But Cole, we got to start it off with our first peak of the night.
Let's fast peak last week.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to start my timer because I think you probably started it
go.
too. All right. Here's the question for you, Cole. Berlin, done. Players back in America, or at least on their way. How are you feeling?
Okay, so the big thing for me is we got to see Under T in international competition for the first time, right?
Yeah.
We know we can win NA. We saw it happen. Then Sentinels kind of happen to change some things too.
Yeah. Well.
But our takeaways from this Berlin trip, guess what? The boys are still cracked. Now,
The boys.
was it thrilling? Yes.
Yes.
We'll talk about that soon. But we're talking about a top 4 in the world finish. We're talking about a win over the eventual world champion. And we're talking about Sentinels looking kind of vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, 100 Thieves time is now.
Boy, it sure seems that way. I think it's easy for us. This is a little bit of like late season LCS vibes I'm getting of it feels disappointing in some ways to not have a trophy, right?
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to lift another trophy in just a couple of short weeks from the last one, right? Like that doesn't happen often. But I think that it's important to remember how good this result is, just objectively. Being a top 4 team in the world is a good outcome. We're all frankly a bit spoiled that it's possible, that it's even possible to look at a result like that and say, dang, you know.
Right.
What if we played that just a bit differently? Or what if we showed up with a different mindset to that series? So I get it. And, you know, and I don't think it's a bad thing, by the way, to feel disappointment when you don't achieve what you're hoping to at the end of the event. But top 4 is fantastic. We showed up and we played against, as we did at LCS Worlds when we were, or at LCS Worlds, at League of Legends Worlds when we went. We played against some of the best competition the world has to offer. And in this case, we did outstandingly. So yes, positive notes from me. I'm happy with how it went. It was incredibly fun time as a fan. And that is our time to move to the next peak, Cole, which is this. Congratulations to 100 Thieves Valorant. We are the official comeback kings. We might not have lifted the trophy. We're not the kings of the Valorant world, but we sure put up some unbelievable comebacks. I'd have to say, if there was a vote for most compelling matches and maps, I think we'd win it hands down. Unbelievable stuff. So just to recap really quick, and then I'll pass it to you. Gambit was first. We were down 11-3. We won 10 straight rounds to force map 3 with a famous clutch at the end by Hiko.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Just still one of the all-time plays. The Ascend comeback was next. Down 12-7, won 7 straight rounds to win it in overtime, 14-12. So talk to me about how you're feeling about these comebacks.
Yeah, one of the things that we've said over and over on this pod is that with our particular team makeup, we have the experience gene and we have the gene of like, it's not over till it's over. More so than probably any other team that exists in Valorant, right? And that's a cool way to play. That's a heart attack way to play, but I wouldn't expect anything else from 100 Thieves, right? Like, I finally learned my lesson though. During this Masters, I actually while down 11-3, while down 11-3, I did not despair. You know, I learned the lesson, and we came back and we pulled that off. I cannot believe it happened. Again, my heart wishes that we played a different way, but it just seems like it takes some time for us to warm up to playing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Slow starts, very often slow pistol rounds. Dropping map 1 is very common. I don't know what it is about the team, but they kick it on when it matters, and that's a good feeling.
Yeah, and it got us all the way to 4th. Didn't get us to the finals. We didn't manage to do the same against Envy. Here's what I'll say. If your objective is to win trophies, then I'd say this is probably not your highest percentage approach. If your objective is to provide one of the absolute best viewing experiences for a fan in any esport, mission accomplished. It's been an unbelievably fun event to watch. And so that is something I'm thankful for. We'll keep that forever, Cole. But Berlin is done. It's over. It's in the books. Gambit is king. Sentinels are not any longer. But they are still going to champs. Champions. I don't know what they call it. Something champion.
Champs, sure.
Yeah, COD isn't
we
happy
know what
about
you
that.
mean.
TM. Sentinels in, Envy in, and I forgot to start my clock again. But here's the thing. We have a chance. We still have a chance. And we actually have a very good chance when you look at the overall LCQ. There are a boatload of teams, 8 of the next best teams outside of Sentinels and Envy in contention for that final spot at Champions, as well as 2 of our friends from the lesser known region of North America, Oceania.
FBI's playing sick.
Yeah, exactly. Order and Peace being represented from Osh.
Which is kind of a cool combo.
It is an incredibly cool combo. I don't know if they coordinated that. I have to assume that they did. Here's my question for you. Are you worried? How are you feeling about our odds to be that 3rd representative from NA when it comes time for Champions?
Okay, so looking at the other competition out there, here, I think you mentioned some of the other teams, but points-wise, we have something like 325 championship points. The next best is version 1 with 200. Version 1, they kind of fell off. FaZe has 120. FaZe is up and down. I'm not worried about FaZe. XSET behind them. XSET's kind of the one where I'm like, maybe they have something. They seem to kind of roller coaster up and down a bit, but I can't see myself worried about any of the other teams there. Plus, we have double elimination. And so if you combine that with the fact that we just came off of an international run where we took down the world champion, I'm actually feeling pretty good. So if it was single elimination, I might feel a little more nervous. But if we know one thing about the team, they got the clutch gene. So I have full faith in us getting back. I would be shocked if we did not.
Yeah, it does feel like it would have to be a collapse, right? And you can't say that it was until you see the actual matchup and how teams are doing. Teams get hot, as we've learned from other esports, and if you're hot at the right time, that goes a long way. But yeah, looking at these teams, I can't think of any of them that I'd say there's a pretty good chance that they beat us 2 times out of 2.
Right.
2 make it to champions. So I'm feeling pretty positive about this. The other thing I'll mention is that we're out of time. So instead of that, Cole, I'm going to move straight to our final peak
Okay.
of the week, the fast version, which is this. Let's talk about NA and the overall state of the game. It's the first real season of competitive Valorant. Kings have risen, kings have fallen. And what we're left with is kind of I guess it's an evolving picture of both the NA power rankings as well as the global power rankings. And coming out of Iceland, it seemed like NA was going to be unchallenged by anybody. And a few short months later, here we are with Gambit, the new kings. So I'd like to talk about both NA and the state of competitive overall. How are you feeling about kind of our region and the relative strength and what you're expecting kind of moving forward towards the end of the season here?
Yeah, so I think historically the worry was there's two, right? First, it was Vision Strikers. It's like Vision Strikers is this insane
Right.
team. They went on that streak where they won like 130 straight maps or something like that,
Yeah.
and didn't get it done in Iceland. And then coming into this, they kind of fell off as well. I think they made roster changes. I don't follow them closely. But with Sentinels winning the first one, they came in as the favorites for the next. We sent 3 NA teams through. We dominated Europe early. And I know Gambit eventually did win out, but we beat them. And Sentinels kind of like had a weird moment. It was like Sentinels suddenly started playing bad out of nowhere, which is not going to last long. You know, it's kind of like Team Liquid and LCS. It won't last long. They're going to be back. And then Envy, they ran into Envy, who played the game of their lives against Sentinels. I have never seen a team dialed in on shot accuracy in my time watching Valorant like Envy in that specific match.
Everybody.
So,
it wasn't just one person. It was everybody.
Yeah, it was everybody. And they put us on the same side of the bracket. 3 out of the 4 teams on that side were NA teams. So obviously we sent one through. We looked strong. Again, Gambit won. It was actually pretty close. It was a 3-0 map score, but the series was pretty tight. There was like overtime once or twice and close scores. I feel great about NA. And I feel like we are the favorite region, the strongest region. I don't care if Gambit ended up winning. I like them. They're cool, whatever. But I feel like NA is very strong. Top heavy. Because, you know, we're like, if you take our top 3 teams, there is a drop off after that.
Yeah.
After Sentinels, 100 Thieves, Envy, there is a drop off. But you got 3. We're going to be sending 3. I think NA has to be the favorite region.
Yeah. I think it'll depend a little bit on if Gambit can stay hot. You know, at their best, they have looked absolutely dominant. 13-0 map score. You know, like they
against G2 was it?
Yeah, they're on.
Love to see
so
that.
it'll be a great event. Champions is going to be a fun one to watch. If it's anything like Berlin, I think that's the real winner here is Riot and Valorant esports. So many viewers, so many people talking about how exciting this event was. It's a great sign for this title overall, as well as the teams who are competing in it, because there's a lot of eyes on it. We've gone way over on this fast peak, Cole. It's like a mid-speed peak at this point. Let's move to our next segment, which is this. It's going to be 10 minutes on the clock. Start your engines.
You're actually doing that? I don't even time it.
No, I'm not.
We're just free flowing. Okay, cool.
It's approximately 10 minutes. Start your approximate engines. But I want to go into more detail this, because as I was watching this, and I know that you were too watching it. If anybody didn't know, Cole also watched this. I know you were noticing this similar thing, which is this, Cole. Ops, the operator, is supreme. Teams live by the op, they die by the op. It is all that seemed to matter in so many of these rounds. And as a team that has never had an op dominant player or strategy, boy, did it hurt at times. I mean, and I think that it's not just that we are not ready for the op, or like we don't have it in our game plan, although I think it's clear that we don't in a lot of ways. There are clearly just players who are far, far better, right? You talked about the top 3 NA teams and then the gap to the next. you've got the top 3 oppers in Berlin and then the gap to the rest. And it didn't look close. It didn't feel close. Ye is one of those players who, when we played against him, man, it looked like he was cheating. He was
Yeah.
he was using a marshal
That's not
like
an
it was an op.
accusation, but
No,
yes,
it's not.
he
He's
was
clearly
so
not
good that
cheating.
yeah,
He is a
he would get
human cheat
reported in
code.
low elo for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I honestly might have reported him because some of these shots he was hitting were just absolutely nutty. Um, so with this and this kind of sense of like something has shifted here. There's some tectonic shift in the meta that we were standing right on top of, and then the ground opened up and we fell into it right into fourth place. I just did a little bit of research, so I'm going to share some stats with you. What I was wondering was, okay, so clearly, right, like if you're going to have an opper in a lot of these teams, it's your duelist, it's the Jett player, right? It's the player who gets
Especially
the
Jett right now. Yeah.
yeah,
Jett's
it's the get
kit
out of jail
enables Jett
free.
to op
Yeah,
like crazy. Yeah.
right. You hit your shot if you're good at opping, and then you get to reset, and they don't know where you are, and you get another op after that. It's just like there's a chain reaction. So some of the stuff I saw. So I was wondering, is Asuna the problem? Um, and I just wanted to look at him versus the other Jett players that we ran into through the. This is not just playoffs. This is also including some group stage. So Defo had a heck of a series. I think he was the number 12 rated player overall in the entire playoffs. Right, most used weapon was the op, and Asuna went 3-13 against him. So not a good score line. Clearly, Defo had his number. He actually had much more favorable stats when it comes to the head-to-head against some of the other top, or I guess the people we played who also
Mhm.
happen to be some of the top-rated
Yeah,
players in the
right.
entire playoffs. Coincidence, right? So we went 8-7 against CNED, who was the number 1 rated player in all of the tournament, and his most used was
Yeah.
yeah 6-6 against Ye, which I actually thought was much more favorable than I thought it would be. So he went even with Ye. And he number 3 rated. Just an absolutely unbelievable performance from him. The dude is crazy. Most uses the out. So, I don't feel like it's like a hands issue. Like I don't have loss of confidence in Asuna as a duelist, right? It is clear to me that he is not an opper. That is just not something that he is like he's just not minded that way. And you think about his plays, right? His highlight reels. He's hanging from a rope and he's shooting people with a phantom before they have a chance to react, right?
Yeah.
Like that's his play. Or he's getting like 4 dudes with a razor. Like that's his play. It's not an op shot through a wall, behind smoke. Like that's not what he does. Um, so from this event, the top 3 rated players are all using the op as their most used weapon. That's kind of crazy. And because as I was looking at that, I was like, well, is that always the case? Like the op is obviously the most expensive weapon. It's one shot kill, right? Like if you watch any tac shooters, you know that the op is the weapon. That's what you want to get. Your game can kind of change entirely on that. So I looked back at Iceland just to see, right? Is this how it's always been? How many of the top 10 rated players at Reykjavik do you think had the op as their most used? And you might know this because you have the same notes that I do,
I'm not looking at
but
him though.
humor me.
And I haven't
How
read
many?
that part. I'm guessing it's less because Jett op has been a monstrous thing. I would guess though that you've still got like tens, and you've still got
Yeah,
I would say maybe somewhere between a third and a half of the top 10.
with using the most uses the op.
Yeah.
It's 0. It was 0.
So
Yeah,
it went from 0 to what was it?
3. And the top 3, all it was 1, 2, and 3, all as most uses the op. Crazy to me. And you had like tens was the number 1 rated player using the Phantom, right? So
Oh wow.
something has happened
I need
in
to
the meta.
I need to set my brain.
No, but it's like I get where you're coming from, right? Because you think about, well, Jett op has always been a thing. For some reason, and I'm sure that the people who are reading the patch notes very closely will be able to tell us what the actual reason is. Here's the part of the show where we say, look, guys, I went to the spike.gg and I just looked at the numbers. So I'm not an analyst and I'm not telling you why this is happening. I'm just saying it's different now.
Yeah.
And boy, did I feel it. Um, in the top, I think it was maybe only one overall of all of the rated players from Iceland. One had the op as their most used weapon.
That's insane.
It was Yampy from TL, number 11 rated. So he wasn't even top 10 rated player using the op. So, what does this tell us? Okay. Jett in this event, 100% pick rate. Every map, Jett was there.
Yeah.
Most used weapon for Jett was the op. 0.25 higher KD than almost every other agent. So it was the difference, right? And a 0.25 average across every person who played Jett is insane.
Yeah.
That is much higher.
That's
right?
a bump.
That is,
That's a bump for sure.
And just to drive this point home, Asuna played in the playoffs specifically. I'm just not talking about group stage, playoffs only. He had 5 maps. 1 was Reyna, which he won. 4 were Jett, and he went 1 and 3. So this current, I think he is not he's not as good on Jett, I would say, as the other duelists. And especially not when Jett is the op player.
Yeah.
And here's the last thing that I looked up. And I think this really drove the point home for me. When we played against Envy, it's easy to get, and I think it's more common. I won't say it's easy. It's more common to get first blood with an op. You hold an angle,
right,
and you wait for somebody to dare challenge you, and you get them. And that is kind of the Asuna had some of those, right? Because he used the op because you have to. Here's what I looked at: the number of kills after first blood in a round that were by the op. Asuna had 1 across the entire Envy match. Ye had 10
nice.
kills, and I'm not counting the first bloods that he got. 10 after first blood. It's the reposition. It's the second guy, right? If you get first blood with an op, there's a good chance that you have a 5-4 advantage on the map. If you get the second and third blood on a map, or the second and fourth blood on a map, the map is that round is done.
Yeah.
And I didn't count the 3 Marshall kills he had after first blood, but you could say he had closer to 13 using rifles, or not rifles, but the op. So Cole, I would say I really hope the Champions is played on a different patch where the op is not the actual.
They've got it. They're gonna nerf. They're gonna nerf Jett. There's no way.
Yeah.
The little extra dash or whatever she gets off it. It's like cheating, man. And they're gonna have to do something about that. And if they don't, then we're gonna have to do something about that. This is the problem. It's like we had a good stretch, or maybe a couple good stretches of nitro ops, but for the most part, it's like, in this game, it hasn't translated quite as well for him. Honestly, to me, I feel like the bigger problem is not necessarily our opping, even though that's clearly like, something we need to work on or whatever. But we gave up the kill to the opper way more than any other team, it felt like. I didn't watch every match from the tournament, but every time I was watching, it felt like we gave up that kill all the time. And I don't know, I don't think it's just purely a matter of the other team having beastly oppers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're just getting lazy about the angles or something, because we were getting absolutely murked, and other teams weren't committing that same error to the degree that we were. So, I mean, yes, Jett's going to need a nerf. I think all the pros are saying that. But we need to tighten up a bit when it comes to that, because like you're saying, we're basically playing many maps 4v5, which kudos to us for still being able to do very well in the tournament, basically playing 4v5.
That is absolutely it. So look, I like our odds even more if the changes come through to the meta before LCQ or before Champions, right? I think we move considerably up because we were playing at a pretty significant disadvantage. When you think about these players, when you think about Berlin, there will be names that come to mind, right? Nats is
Yeah.
one of them. He's not their opper, but he is absolutely cracked. But Yay, Defo, right? Like these guys are
CNED.
oppers
Yeah.
and CNED. Yep. And so this was their time to shine, and they absolutely did. So yeah, 4th place for us. You might listen to what I just said and say, dang, so we just like completely fell flat, huh? We didn't even make it out of groups because of this op thing. No, we didn't. I hope that they change it. I think that we could see more of Nitro on the op with Jett. He had some really good looks,
Yeah.
and it was
He
counter
did.
opping a lot of it.
Mhm.
So it's possible that he could be part of the answer to that. I hope it doesn't come to that though, because I think it fits our overall team composition better if we can rely more on rifles than
Yeah,
ops.
for sure.
We'll see. All right, Cole. That was our slow peak. Let us move now to the part of the show where we let somebody else who knows more about this game talk about something, and then we just react. It's time for
You want me to do it?
yeah, I want you to do it.
Molly!
Excellent.
Incendiary take. Let's go.
It's time for the incendiary.
Sorry for not reading your cues.
No, that's all right. We didn't practice that. We didn't rehearse that in rehearsal. Okay.
We had rehearsal?
This one comes from Mont, and it's a little bit long, but I'll read the whole thing because it's a hot one. He gave us an incendiary take here. It's about Hiko. Hiko, and this is what Mont has to say. Hiko is constantly baiting our teammates, causing us to lose rounds that we should have won. Okay. Starting off with the hot part. On top of him being bottom frag for most of Masters, he was definitely the worst performing member of the team. People remember him for his clutches and use those as reasoning to why he did well, but he lost us so many rounds single-handedly. Not saying he needs to be traded, in parentheses yet, but he either needs to stop playing for his own ego of clutching rounds and start playing for the team and peaking with people to win us free rounds. And then in parentheses, this was also a team issue where we kept single peaking and dying for free. So
Very
I think
hot.
this is very hot, very hot. It's an interesting question to think about and to ask. And in part, it's because I think this is what happens when you don't lift a trophy, right? When you lift a trophy, people say, keep everything exactly as it is, change nothing. Why would you ever change anything? What are you doing? And if you fall anywhere short of that, I think people's minds turn immediately to, this is very natural, turn immediately to how do you get better than the best team? Because
Right.
you want the trophy. So I think this is a natural instinct. And this is a hard exercise to do in a way that doesn't feel like you are risking more than you are fit to gain. We have a lot of really good players.
Yes.
And a lot of them contribute things that are unique to this scene, right? I think that's one of the things about our team that is so compelling. Like you have Hiko, who has this reputation for being a clutch master, Steel with the Galaxy Brain in-game leader, right? Like I could go on. So Mont basically is saying that if you've got to make a change, it needs to be Hiko. I am curious for your thoughts on that. If you agree with him, if you would say, yeah, if you have to change one thing, it's Hiko, or if you think there might be something else, or if you just say, no, change nothing, keep it as it is, wait for the meta to shift more in our favor, and we'll be fine.
So I'm probably going to give a long reaction to this. So sorry about that in advance. But here's the thing. First of all, with Hiko like playing as a baiting his teammates and stuff, or like being the last one to die and all that, I don't think it's about his ego and trying to clutch out. I think it's about what he's playing and what he does for the team, you know? So he's usually on Sova. Shout out Sova. I'm a Sova main. If you consider playing Valorant like once every 2 months is enough to have a main, that's me. But you know, you have a kit that gathers intel so well that you kind of need to keep him alive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because he is a clutch player, he is smart at how to handle multiple targets at once. I feel like if you don't have him doing that, you're actually de-emphasizing his strengths. Okay. Now I get the rationale here because it's like, well, you know, if we're not relying on what can we do at the end of a round to win, Because like one of the things we're known for is our retake, right? Like
Yep.
if we play a different style, then that's one thing. But as presently constituted, I don't think we can play another style and get the same result. I think if we have Hiko on our team, who's a good player, we play the way that maximizes his value. So that's a tough thing for me because I don't think it's about his ego. I think it's just like the position that that player and this strategy and this champion or this agent ends up doing. Now, other side of the coin, when it comes to if there's a change to be made, first of all, we had a top 4 in the world finish. Imagine if our LCS team did that. Would you want changes? I would.
If we hit semifinals at Worlds.
If we hit semifinals at Worlds, I'm like, this is the best thing ever. I cannot believe it. Right? I don't want to change it.
But let's get rid of Abbedagge. And that's an unfair comparison because I don't think that they're the same, but as an example.
Yeah. But it's like, it's really hard to argue for like removing the cornerstone piece of the team after a top 4 in the world finish. It's really hard to make that argument. So I'm in general not a fan of that. Now, that said, if you're optimizing this team in the way that Valorant is being played right now, if you do have to make a change and all kind of options are on the table, that would probably be where you'd start. I would lean either Hiko or Steel for being like a piece I would rotate out. I think Ethan's very good and he's only getting better. Asuna is like a singular kind of player. He may not be the best in NA or whatever, but he's like really, really, really good and he plays in a way that's different than most people. And I really love having him on the team and he's young. Nitro and Steel, they kind of are in the same place for me. Like it's hard for me to choose, but I think I lean Nitro most of the time. He won't play one-handed and lose the round. But I do think that like at some point, if things kind of stay the way that they are in Valorant, then strategically we would need to play the game in a different way if we are trying to win the world title. If we are trying to win champs. And that, if we're talking about like what can we do to change the strategy and the way we play, Hiko's the place to start. I don't know. I really like Hiko. I'm not calling for him to be switched out. I don't want changes made to the team right now. I'm very happy with top 4, and I think we can do better if we tighten up. But I understand where this is coming from. I understand where the sentiment is. And like you said, wanting to get better after you lose, I get that. I want to get better too. I'm just not sure that there are really options at this point to get better. And here's one thing we learned about 100 Thieves in the last 18 months. If there's something out there that is promising towards making the team better, you can bet they're going to do it. All right?
Yep.
Ethan was a pretty big risk. If you guys don't remember, we won First Strike. We won the first like major championship in North America and made a roster change after it. We swapped Dicey out. And if I'm remembering right, Dicey was playing a lot of Jett OP, right? I may be pulling that out of my butt. But
I'm going back a bit.
We made a change, and that change has worked out for us. And I love Dicey, by the way. I actually really liked that kid. I liked him as a player. It was sad, but it's like the team saw an opportunity to get better, and they took it. If there's a way to get better, I have faith in the management of this team that they're going to take that risk. If they believe in it, they're going to do it. This is not an org that's satisfied with losing, as has been demonstrated. So I have faith that will happen if it's possible.
I want to point out, right? I think what we're learning over time is that the people who have accountability across the esports pillar are minded in that way. You see it in LCS, you see it in COD, right? And COD obviously has not worked at the level that we expected to.
This
but we
year,
continue to make changes. We bring in Envoy.
Yeah, and remember what happened at the end of 2018 and into the 2019 year, right?
Right.
COD went poorly. They made a couple of big changes, And we won
Right.
2 rings that year. So
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that is what over the long term builds confidence that, hey, look, if you don't get it exact, and we're kind of off the take now, but I think this is an important point to drive home in general. Those kinds of decisions over time is what builds confidence in program leadership, right?
yeah.
So, like Jacob is clearly somebody who it has an ability to recognize opportunities and act on them at times that others might not. And I think we have seen it play out a lot of times where people have second guessed the things that we've done. Um, and honestly, more often than not, those things have either led to us getting better over time or immediately.
In Valorant, it's
So,
like 100% success rate of improving the team, right? Every change has
yes.
improved the team.
Right, right. So that's pretty outstanding. And I think important to just keep that in mind, right? That we
Yeah.
have a lot of reasons to be confident in the direction of our esports programs in general. Doesn't
Can
mean
I
that things aren't going to not work exactly as we hope from time to time, but I think overall it tends towards this seems to be a good idea. Go ahead.
I'll make my obligatory NBA reference. I feel like Jacob at this point, we're talking about Milk, right? I
Mhm.
think it's like he's like LeBron after the COVID title, where he's like,
Yeah.
I just want my dang respect. You know, we just want our respect.
Yeah.
That's what Jacob is like
Mhm.
for me right now. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
when he first
kudos to
joined,
him.
yeah,
Kudos
when he
to him.
first joined 100 Thieves, I remember there were some loud voices in the community who said like, I'm not sure about this guy. He's got kind of a checkered past with Dota, some stuff, weird stuff. That's gone. That
Yeah,
that has all been dismissed. So I'm glad for that. We're probably long, Cole, at
we're
this point.
definitely long.
Um,
But it's only because we love you guys
I'll,
so much.
yeah, exactly. Second show, second stream of the night. We would keep going probably endlessly if we didn't have some kind of obligation to a more condensed format for this whole show. But I'll close this part out, the incendiary, by just saying, I think that for me, yeah, I put you on the spot and I said, if you had to change something, would you? You know, what would you? Yeah, yeah. I think you're right, and don't usually do this, but Styles is in chat saying basically, you know, this team shouldn't make a change until next year. And I think that's right. Like clearly
I think
nothing's
that's
going to
right too.
happen now. You have off season. This will be the first off season in Valorant. There will be interesting things happening. My guess is there will be CS players who want in on the sweet Valorant action who have held out until now. So yeah, talent pool is going to be probably wide open, as well as some of these teams who didn't succeed this year and they have now free agents. So yeah, more options, more interesting things will happen. No changes now, nothing before LCQ. If we make it to champions, nothing then. We go with what we have, and I think we've got something great. This is a really fun team. It's been outstanding to watch. One of our most compelling um, efforts in across all of the esports that we're in. So I think it's a fantastic uh, accomplishment for the first year of Valorant. We should be really happy about this and definitely celebrate.
Yep.
All right, Cole. That's going to do it for Fast Peak last week. That's going to do it for us tonight. Um, Excited for what's to come. There's going to be more fun Valorant to watch. We get to do some more in LCQ coming up. We'll do something around that
We'll
for
be here.
sure. Either at the end of LCQ. Either way, we'll do a show either way. So thanks to those of you hanging out. Thanks for listening to Fast Peak last week. We love this show. We love this team. We'll keep showing up to talk about it, and hope that you'll join us. Cole, I think this is my part to say we love you, we miss you already, and then